I'm about to do a full walk around of my Mustang, but I live in Oklahoma, so if the wind is fucking up the volume, I apologize in advance. Anyways, 2003 Ford Mustang Mach 1. Original paint. It's not perfect. If you look closely, you'll see imperfections, but the car still looks amazing. Drilled and slotted rotors. I just washed the car and I was too impatient to wait for it to dry, so this is how you're getting it. The car is lowered about 1 inch. Springs in the rear, UPR coilovers in the front. In the paint, but like I said, if you look closely, you'll find touch-up spots and minor dings here and there. Get compliments on this thing everywhere I go. Key fob works. 3-point shock tower bar in the rear. I believe that's by Kenny Brown. And on the interior, you got some aftermarket gauge pods. And I replaced the seats with these aftermarket Brom ones, and I added the stripe to match the Mach 1 kind of styling and match up with the rear. I think it turned out really good. It looks like it belongs. Aftermarket stereo, shifter, Mach 1 floor mats. Interior is extremely clean, basically no imperfections. I also added this little Bluetooth volume knob for the stereo because it didn't have one. I hate the buttons. New shift boot, new e-brake boot. In here, there is a tire pressure sensor. It's only shown one, but it kicks on when the car's on. And that's pretty much it. Everything works. No cracks in the windshield. Seats flip down. Very clean back here. Yep. Here she is. So, coming up into the engine bay. I'm not going to go too much into the mods performance-wise that I actually did to the engine itself, but I will sum it up by saying basically every bolt-on and reliability mod you can do for these engines I did, and a tune. So with that said, as you can see, factory shaker hood here, the Stiflers 3-point shock tower bar, the Maximum Motorsport camber caster plates, double adjustable. As you can see, I had to modify them to work with this bar, but they work great. And the Mach 1 coil covers on top of the valve covers here. JLT intake. And I think that's about it. If you want to know exactly the mods that I did to this engine, you can refer to the marketplace ad that I posted up. But here she is. So, coming underneath the car, specifically the rear. First off, let's do a little view under here real quick so you can see everything that's going on. So obviously we have the Maximum Motorsports Panhard bar, and we have the factory sway bar under here. Also, as you can see, pretty obvious SVE diff cover. as well as when I had this differential out, I installed the SVE carbon fiber clutches for the differential and new bearings and seals for the differential on both sides. Over here, Coney orange shocks. Then BMR lowering springs. Now for the lower control arms, we have the Maximum Motorsport tubular control arms with the poly bushings, greasable, as well as up here we have the adjustable BMR, the solid bushings at the torque boxes and poly bushings at the differential. And then plus, to beef up the torque boxes more, I went with this BMR Bolton reinforcement bar, and as well as, let's see if you can get a view, you can kind of see it here, the Weldon SVE torque boxes, upper and lower, and I fully welded the torque boxes all around. I don't know how well you can see it. You can see the welds here, and hopefully you can see the welds inside. But for the lower torque box, you can see the reinforcement plate in there. And when you install this reinforcement plate, you have to cut out this piece of metal from the factory. It's solid, and most people leave it open, and I didn't really like that, so I made this little steel piece to fully weld back in there and dimple at it so you still have access to all the hardware. Let's see, what else do we have underneath here? Braided brake lines, front and rear, full SLP exhaust, the off-road X-pipe, 2.5-inch stainless for all of it. Also have the fully welded in Stifler's subframe connectors, and with the seat support bracket, as well as, if you look towards the outer here, we have the Stifler welded jack point reinforcement bar. Don't mind the wind. I painted it blue because I didn't want to be able to see it from the outside. I thought it would be a little cleaner. And I think that's everything in the rear. Let's move on to the front. So, coming to the front of the car, underneath, factory sway bar. As you can see here, BMR K-frame tubular, as well as the BMR tubular control arms. Oh yeah, you get a good shot of the UPR coilovers right there, and braided brake lines. And then attached to the K-frame, we have the Stifler K-frame reinforcement. As you can tell, it just bolts up to the rear of the K-frame there, and then has these links that grab the K-frame itself. Over here, we have the Cobra oil cooler. That's just an oil pressure sensor for the gauges inside. BBK long tube headers, might have already said that. As well as you get a good shot of the basically brand new TKO 600 transmission with the stage 1 upgrades from Liberty Gears. So, video stopped, excuse me. Anyways, like I was saying, just broken in, basically just a few hundred miles on it, so pretty much brand new. And I got the car aligned only a few hundred miles ago, so it drives perfectly straight going down the road.